So what we're going to talk about today is how it is that you can do the thing that I most love to do, which is buy a house for the price of a car. And then if you're looking at a higher price point, how to do that as well. And I want you all to certainly make use of your emoji buttons, the smileys, the thumbs up, even the questions. Like, pause me, because I want this to be your time. I want this to be a chance where you really get to ask your questions and learn, because I know a lot. I know a ton. And I'm somebody who's very open-handed in providing that information. So with that, I am Pam Hill of My Smart Cousin. And our website is MySmartCousin.com. And our email address is info@MySmartCousin.com. And then I don't show it here, but of course our Twitter and our Instagram are My Smart Cousin. Why My Smart Cousin? Why that name? It's really something I think I got coined with my family. So we just had our 40th family reunion. I'm a huge family person. And, years ago, I would always ask family about their finances, not in an invasive way, but more like if they said at a reunion, hey, Pam, I plan on investing in my 401k or opening up a 401k. I'd be the person that would really follow up with them. So, hey, cuz, how did it go with that 401k? What stocks are you looking at? I remember you told me you were looking at moving from renting to buying. So that's kind of how it came, was sort of naturally with My Smart Cousin. And I guess also I really do look to be the person that kind of wraps my arms around you and has you join the My Smart Cousin family and really treat you that way as family and get you on your journey. Outside of being your smart cousin, I'm a former CEO as well as CFO. So I was the chief executive officer of an electric utility in the Bahamas, and I was the chief financial officer of an electric utility in Jamaica. And I guess one thing you can say is I know how to choose where to work. I worked for two huge electric utilities that are multi-billion-dollar type companies. One's called Exelon, the other's called Southern Company. And when I was CEO, I had 1,000 employees reporting to me, and it was a $1 billion US dollar enterprise. And when I was CFO, it was an $800 million enterprise. I had about 200 employees. So I know an awful lot about finance in a lot of detail, definitely about general management, definitely about just how do you structure a project? How do you get something from in here to here, to actually implementation out in the world alive. And so I began that journey sort of hand in hand while still working full-time in the energy industry, of which, hey, I no longer do now. But I began that journey when I was in the energy industry as a real estate investor, gosh, probably about 10 years ago now. And so what I did was, when the Great Recession got started, that's when I began to buy. And I can't say that I was my smart cousin, as it were, for me. I didn't even realize that I should be looking at real estate. My husband, we were dating at the time, but he was looking for a house of his very own, because he was renting in a town outside of Wilmington called Newark, Delaware. And so at any rate, he began to look in Wilmington, Delaware, and we could not believe our eyeballs. The houses were in the 20s, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. So once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. And my husband, he ended up buying a house for $26,000. And we were going to be, well, we'd been renting out that house, but a lady who's living there now, who I am so happy she is buying a house of her own. That is one of my favorite moments when someone moves from renter to owner. But she's buying a house, and so her sister is moving into the house. And that's how you know that you're doing something right on your property ownership journey. And that's also something crucial, is to make sure you're a good person along the way and excellent in customer service. So at any rate, once I saw that you could buy houses in the Wilmington, Delaware area for the mid $20,000, and again, I think he bought that in 2014 or so, no, probably about 2012. Then that's what I started doing on a very full-time basis. And so to date now, I have 25 houses. By the end of this month, knock on wood, it's going to be 26 properties. And it's a total of 31 units right now, the 25. So they're mainly single families, as you can tell by that ratio, but there are some multis in there, small multis. So I've got a 2-family, a 3-family, a 4-family, another 2-family. And they are in 3 states. So I started off by just trying to master where it is that I am. So you heard me mention Wilmington, Delaware. So I'm not too far from there. My husband and I live in the suburbs of Philly. So the split is 9 houses in Delaware, 8 houses in Pennsylvania, 8 houses in southern New Jersey. So as you can imagine, if I'm talking buy a house for the price of a car, which for me means lowest price I ever paid for a house, one of these 25 that I own right now, $2,500, a real house. And I bought it on auction.com, not trying to give them any props, as it were, but just being transparent. That's where I bought it. And the most expensive that I've paid is $35,000. I will say that the house that I'm going to buy, house number 26, this is going to be the first foray into the beginning of multifamily for me. And so this is going to be a rooming house that's got 6 units, and that's $110,000. And then that's not too bad because basically I'll sell one of the houses I bought for the price of a car and buy the rooming house and triple the rent in one fell swoop. So you can follow me on IG, on Facebook, and at MySmartCousin. So that kind of gives you a little summary about me. Onward. So what do we do at MySmartCousin? We take you just the same way we took me from, hey, I got an idea, to let's get this bad boy going. That's what we do for you. Take you from planning, and let's not shortchange planning. There's a lot that goes into planning, into figuring out where it is that you want to invest, how you want to invest. Do you want to live in the house and have it be a multifamily that you live in, or would you rather something far away where you never ever see the tenant? So that's the kind of thing that goes into planning. So taking you from that to roadmap. Roadmap as an example, meaning, okay, so now we have to figure out the financing. So let's begin to develop what our financing plan looks like. Sometimes, certainly when you're buying a house for you to live in, there's an awful lot of money that's available. So putting together the plan for how we execute on that money and grab it, taking you from plan to roadmap, finally to execution. Execution is time to sign on the dotted line. You own that house. And certainly if it's not within your area where you live, then getting you a good property manager, as well as a good handyman or contractor to help you with it. That's the main thing, the thing that I love. But I also love, and don't throw aside, small business coaching. So small business coaching essentially means helping you to start a small business if that's what it is that you're looking to do. Trucking, for some reason, has become very popular, and I think I know some reason why. It, of course, is because of a little old thing called COVID, which has caused a lot of people to look at ways that they can be engaged in the trucking business. So I've helped people get their minority business certification, their disadvantaged business entity certification, their small business certification, their Section 8A certification. So there's lots of certifications that are out there. And even outside of these set-aside programs, just helping you really think through and launch your small business in a real way, rather than a, I wish I could, wouldn't it be nice way, but never does stick way. So we've got here a link that I'm going to take you to that I just realized that I forgot to look at. So we're going to look at it together. So why did I take you here to this link of Crexy? So that's the site we're on, crexy.com. I took you here so that you can get a sense of multifamily units that are available in different locations. So you heard me talk about house for the price of a car. And you heard me say that I got started with houses that were 35,000 or less. That said, hey, I can see that 35,000 or less is tough in a lot of places, although still tenable in some. And we're going to see some of those in a minute. So by now, I think to myself that house for the price of a car is going to be more like 50,000 to be realistic, maybe even as high as 60,000. But some folks don't want to start there. They want to start right in the multifamily realm. Crexie's not necessarily the very best, or certainly not the only place to look for multifamily houses, but I wanted you to be aware of what is out there. And as you can see by this map that I've got that Crexie is showing, this is for Pennsylvania as well as New York. So this is just giving you a sense of what properties are available. They're showing up right now that are multifamily units. So what we're going to do is just pop in what looks interesting. Let's go here to the western side towards Pittsburgh. One thing that I can tell you as someone who has done a lot of looking, as well as advising folks who've done deals in some of these areas, you get better deals in Western Pennsylvania than you do in Eastern Pennsylvania. Eastern, of course, being closer to the Philly area, Western being closer to the Pittsburgh area and the Ohio border. So here you can see properties that are listed, 8 rental units out here in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. What else do we have here that looks interesting? We've got a mixed use property here. So in this case, this mixed use, I've seen this one before, is a hotel. So I show this to you because some folks feel like, or maybe just assumed it could be, that you cannot buy an apartment building. And in this case, 8 rental units makes for a very small apartment building. But the thing is that you can't buy an apartment building unless you're talking millions. The fact is there are apartment buildings that are available, and I'd say the 300,000 to 400,000 might be the lowest. And there you're talking about probably a 6-unit or so building. So just wanted to share that with you. All right, so now we'll head on back. Let's see here. Yep, and then so you can see the full screen. All righty. So moving right along, who do we help? Well, I would say generally on the real estate side, because we've done so much on the buy and hold and rent, that would for sure be an audience that we help. But not everybody wants to kind of hang on to the rental property or to the property and make it a rental property. Some folks want to flip it, and I've done that. I've done that both as a general contractor. When I say general contractor, mean I was a general contractor for the houses that were fixed up, and then the person who owned it flipped them. So I can understand that model, and I can see the value absolutely in that model. I will tell you that one value, if you're in that buy, hold, flip camp, or even if you're wondering, should I buy, hold, flip, or should I buy, hold, rent, like Pam does? The value of buy, hold, flip is that you're able to capture dollars, real dollars, within, I'd say, 3 months might be a little tight, but if you've got a real sharp crew, they can take you from buy to flip in 3 months. But I'd say you better plan on 6 months, maybe even as many as 9 months. And you're able to yield 100,000, 150,000. So that's the value of the buy, hold, flip. The value of the buy, hold, rent is that you're definitely not going to see that kind of appreciation in the market in 3 or 6 or 9 months on the property that you own. But you will get a chance to yield the rental value of the property. So just as an example, I have a property that's in Southeast Jersey in Salem County in a city called Pennsgrove. And the rents were just published by the by HUD, which is the Housing and Urban Development Agency. So that's the federal government agency who is in charge of deciding how much rent, up to the very maximum, that they will pay across cities, counties, states, what have you, to folks who receive some sort of assistance from HUD, a housing choice voucher, either in full, 100%, or in part. And if folks are like, hey, what's a housing choice voucher? That's what we used to call Section 8. Now it's called a housing choice voucher. So for the property that I have, which of course was bought for the price of a car, that property as of October 1st, because that's when the fiscal year starts for HUD for 2023, the maximum rent is $1,900. And that's not to say that that's what you'll charge, but that is a strong reason around the buy, hold, and again, rent is not here, but the buy, hold, rent model, because you can capture those revenues and wait for the property that you own, that you bought for the price of a car, to possibly really get into the money like a lottery ticket. I'm from New York City, and certainly Brooklyn would be the kind of lottery ticket that I'm talking, where houses had gone for, oh gosh, probably 50,000, 70,000, some, I guess 15 years ago, so a good little while ago, and now are $8 million if you're lucky. So that's one group that we help, are the folks who are in that buy, hold, rent or buy, hold, flip. Another group is anyone who's looking at buying a single family or a multifamily house. So why single family? Because you might feel like, hey, if I'm buying for the price of a car, I ain't living in that. But you never know. You might find a house that exactly fits that. The house that my husband and I are in right now. So it's not the one in Wilmington that he bought. Instead, it's a house. You heard me say that I'm in the suburbs of Philly. It's that house that we are in right at this very moment. And campers, how much did we pay? $35,000. And that was in 2016. So not all that very long ago. So as long as you are maybe not always looking, but close to, your finger is always on that pulse, you can find something. Last group are folks who are startup entrepreneurs. In particular, if you're looking for a minority certification, I know that backwards and forwards. So can help you get that lickety split. Or if you're saying, hey, I'm not interested in that yet, because I don't even know what I want to do just yet, as far as a business plan. So that's where we can help you with that. And of course, get you on the right track with your finances. So what is a house for the price of a car? Right now, the average price of a house in the US, average meaning 50%, let's call it 49.9% of the houses are less than that. 49.9% of the houses are more than that. So average, $428,000. Well, okay, $428,700. Gives me heart palpitations, can't imagine. But of course, that's because there are many houses that skew very high in expensive cities that you will never be able to buy a house for the price of a car. You certainly can get it for less than the average for that city, but not in the 60,000, 50,000, 40,000 neighborhood. So I'm talking to you, pretty much all of California. I can't think of any city in California that's housed for the price of a car. Alaska, goodbye. Hawaii, goodbye. So there's a number of states, I would say as many as maybe 8 or so, that are impossible house for the price of a car. But for the most part, many others still can fall in that realm. What do I call inexpensive? Meaning house for the price of a car? Well, just that, $60,000 or less. And I don't know how many of you all are keeping up with what's going on in the financial markets, but the Fed just recently, the Fed meaning the Federal Reserve, just recently increased the interest rate. So the interest rate is what the Federal Reserve charges to banks. And of course, banks put on a little extra on top of that for what they charge to us, and so on and so on. So the Federal Reserve has just raised interest rates by 1%. For the bankers in the room, you know that's 100 basis points, so 1%. And they had just raised it only a couple of months ago when we were right at the start of inflation by, I think it was 75 basis points, so 3/4 of a point. So I say that to say that, of course, you have to take your finances into account when you think about how it is that you're going to be buying houses. But also I say it to say that the competition that you're going to be facing to buy a house for the price of a car, or for that matter, not the price of a car, is going to go down dramatically, because there'll be a very large portion of people who are unable to participate in the market at all at those prices. So what is the house? What is a house for the price of a car beyond being $60,000 or less? Well, I would say another aspect of it is that you can pay it off. Sorry there. You can pay it off in this many, as the little boy says, meaning 10 years or less, and not sort of a whole generation, as it were. And when you saw how the average price of a house was north of $400,000, you can see why financing a house, at least in the US, is a whole generation, 30 long years, a whole generation affair, because of how long it is. So I would really urge you all, those of you who are looking to buy a house to live in, or maybe you're already in your house, and it was a whole lot more money, and you're wondering, should I still be spending this much money? When you get to the stage where you look to buy another house, do this. Take the telescope that the realtor, that the mortgage lender gives you, and turn it the other way around. So what I mean by that is, when a realtor, when a mortgage broker, well, it's more than likely going to be the real estate agent. So when the real estate agent and your bank comes to you and they say, hey, guess what? Now that you've given us your finances, you know how much you can buy? You qualify for a $400,000 house. So guess what we're going to do? We are going to show you houses that cost $390,000, $395,000, $400,000, even $420,000, because what's to say we can't negotiate it down to $400,000? That's called the telescope being this way, looking to the farthest point out on the horizon, where they tell you you can afford and thus should be buying. But just because you can afford it doesn't mean it should be afforded, type thing, right? So turn the telescope the other way around, which instead makes you look from lowest to highest. So when I said my husband and I bought a house, and when we live in it now, that cost $35,000, we couldn't have possibly bought that house or even looked for that house if we had the telescope out looking at the farthest end of the horizon, where the bank, where the real estate agent said we could afford. It could only come into our view if we were looking lowest to highest in a set of neighborhoods. So that is something else that is a house for the price of a car. This many fingers that it's paid off in. So what is a house for the price of a car in terms of what it looks like? It's something that looks like this. Might look better than this, but I would say plan on the house looking like this. In other words, a house that needs some work, but don't need a ton of work. It's got a ceiling and it's got some walls. And that's the beginning of a very good house. And it doesn't look like this. This is a terrible house, right? Where it takes a wrecking ball. You got to flatten it to the ground before you can do anything with it. So let's take a look here in Pennsylvania, so that we can get a sense of what some of these houses look like. So I've done a little cheating earlier. Let's just see here. I had already mentioned to you that Western Pennsylvania is the place to be looking at. Let me just see here. Hang on a second. Looks like we've got to try to admit someone. Okay, there we go. All righty. So what house had I seen in Western PA that looked like a good one? Oh, and I guess you're like, hey, that's not fair. You're cheating. You're looking ahead. Give me a sense of what you're looking at. Okay, so here's a couple of things to think about. One is that when you look at a house and you see something that looks like this to me looks like it could be a mobile home. In other words, a house that sits, it might be on a permanent foundation, but it's a house that's considered manufactured housing. It's not like there's, hey, something wrong with manufactured housing. I'm fine with manufactured housing to live in, but it's going to be difficult to get a bank loan with manufactured housing. So I'd say generally, you're going to want to move away from manufactured housing as you think about buying. So I wouldn't include that in my house for the price of a car. So that's why Pam is skipping that one. Okay, so what about this one? This is not one that I had taken a peek at. So we're going to go on ahead and take a quick peek see and see what we see. All right, so this house is $60,000, 4 beds, 2 baths. Let's take a look. What do I like about it? Okay, so what I like is that, first of all, the exterior, and you're going to find this oftentimes, that the exteriors look pretty good. So buyer beware. Just because the exterior looks strong doesn't mean the interior is strong. But if the exterior at least is looking okay, it's worth looking at the inside photos. Here's something else that I can see. I can see that this roof, it looks like it's got a slant to it. That's good. Slanted roofs are great. You're not going to always find a slanted roof. In Wilmington, Delaware, probably in a lot of New York City, they're flat roofs. Flat roofs are more prone to leaks, but if you can get a slanted roof, great. What else do I see? It looks like I see a bunch of newish windows, these vinyl windows. They tend to be on the cheaper side to replace. A lot of folks don't like the old windows called casement windows, but I'll tell you what, a casement window can stand up decade upon decade. But these all look like newish windows. What else do I see? I see the landscaping looks okay. You know, it seems like it would work well for a family. So that's what I see as I look at the outside of this house. Looks like it's got some kind of siding on it. It looks like it might be on a slab. So it looks like it might not have a basement. I don't immediately see a garage. So these are the things to take in. Okay, so now we're inside the house. I don't know what room this is. I'm going to make a guess. Maybe it's a dining room or something like that, or it could be a bedroom. Again, I see 2 walls, right? So there's probably another 2 walls here. They look solid. Looks like we need some paint. I don't see a bunch of big giant holes. Even if I did see big giant holes, that might not scare me off because that's just sheetrock. I think this might be wood, but it could be laminate. But at any rate, it doesn't look like it's going to take a bunch of money to fix up. Ceiling fan tells me yes, it probably is a bedroom. Somebody was experimenting with colors. Of course, you'll repaint this, but you're not going to have to do a lot to this. So far, I don't see where the heating source is coming in, but that's just the angle where they took the picture. Okay, we got a closet, bifold doors, need some plates here, the electric outlet plate, that's no big deal. I don't know what that's leading to. Next picture might tell us. Let's see here. Am I going in the right direction? No, I'm not. Okay, and there's a bifold door closed. Again, the window cable. Something else that I'm taking in, even though I think that might be an outlet plate over there. I can't tell. But something that I'm kind of noting as I look at this is that it looks like it might have been lived in not too long ago and that somebody's cleaned it out. So I love that. I love a house that is livable because it's not going to take a lot of money to make it move-in ready. What else do we have here? Bathroom, again, we don't love the wallpaper, but hey, there's cheap ways to make that go away other than peeling off the wallpaper. You can put very thin, I think it's as thin as 1/8 inch sheetrock. This is the bathroom, so you're going to have to get that purple board, but you can get very thin sheetrock and just paste it over. You can get something like paneling that you can just put over this and then paint it white. And then it'll look like beadboard or whatever it is they like to say on HGTV. I see this shower, this tub here is, from what I can see, this angle is looking pretty good. There's the shower knob there. You can just throw up some doors there to help minimize the leaks that might come otherwise. Probably have to silicone around this or caulk around it, but it looks pretty good. Again, you've got yourself a toilet. It all looks livable so far. We're happy. Again, there's vinyl windows. Look, remember I mentioned the paneling that you can just paint? That's exactly what somebody has done, is just put up some old paneling, or not old. They went to, I guess, Lowe's or Home Depot and put it up, and your eyeball doesn't even notice it. All your eye sees is blue. It doesn't see, hey, that's ugly paneling. I don't like that. Uh, Again, it's opening up. I'm guessing these are hardwood floors. And then I can't quite tell where we are, but hey, this is, I'll just flip through here. This is just going to take some heavy duty primer and some paint, some Kilts type primer and some paint. I guess this would have been the maybe washer, or maybe it was a furnace. I think it looks like a water source. So it looks like either sink or washing machine. Again, not having any heart palpitations over anything I'm seeing so far. It looks like whoever had owned it was going to go ahead and get some work done, but they kind of gave up, and that's it. So let's pretend that this were the house for the price of a car, that either you all thought, I'm sick of this rat race. It's time for me to plunk down $60,000 or get myself a mortgage where I'll have probably a $400 payment a month. Doesn't that sound sweet if I did it for 30 years? Or what Pam would say, instead, have $1,000, $1,200, $1,300 a month mortgage and pay it off in 10 years. Isn't that better? Or 8 years? But at any rate, if you think to yourself, hey, I think I'd like to buy this house myself and live there, now suddenly your eyes are open. Now you can't unsee the fact that in Hyde Park, Pennsylvania, you could be living the good life. And if you think, I don't want to live in Hyde Park, Pennsylvania, then your next step would be to look up for this zip code, 15641, what rents look like in this zip code. And then you would have some sort of sense of what you would earn. And my money is on a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Certainly shouldn't be any less than $1,000 and probably more. So that's a lot of detail, but that gives you a sense of how it is that I go about looking at houses, and how I would take you through it as well. All righty, so let's go back. Here. All right, so as you can see, even in the house that we just now looked at in Hyde Park, Pennsylvania, I guess it was, which again, Western PA, so it's probably not too far from either Scranton or Pittsburgh or maybe Erie or somewhere like that. That house that we just looked at, for that the person was asking for 60, again, just because you're asking don't mean you're going to get it. So where the person was asking for 60 might get more like 55 or 52. It didn't even look as bad as this. And certainly looked nothing like this. So again, main takeaway on this one, campers, you can buy a house for the price of a car. They're out there. It's just a matter of looking. All righty. So like where? We already saw one place in Pennsylvania, but also in Baltimore. So over the past 90 days, there have been several hundred that have been available in Baltimore at that 60,000 or less price. And over the past 12 months, a couple of thousand have been available. I will say that Baltimore has gotten tougher to find housing, but it is still out there. So first thing I'll do is navigate you around what I've done. So you can see, first thing you do, for sale. Here's something valuable. Not only can you do for sale, let's do this just for fun. You can do sold, in other words, for sold, as it were. And you can get a sense. It's easy to think to yourself, well, hey, sure, they're claiming it's for sale for 60, but can you really buy? Well, here are all these dots that I talked about that were sold for 35,000 to 60 bucks. What kind of house? Well, let's limit it, because you're right. We don't want to just see everything. I already said manufactured housing, no. I'd probably take out apartments as a no. For sure, lots and lands, don't care about them. Condos, I guess maybe, but generally I'd be biased against a condo. So we're talking, let's just take out townhomes and houses, again, just for fun. We're down to multifamily. Now, of course, their version of multifamily, sometimes folks say multifamily, and it isn't. but you can at least get a sense that there's an awful lot of dots that you can go through that have been sold that claim to be multifamily. Let's see this very first one that I have not looked at. Okay, so it was sold for $60,000, right on the nose, 3-bed, 3-bath, in Reisterstown, on Reisterstown Road, sorry, in Baltimore. Let's just see if they will show us many pictures. Woo-wee! This is giving me palpitations. I actually bought a house like this unintentionally. You know, a house is supposed to have 4 sides. This house reminds me of my house. It only had 3, one on each side, one in the front, and then nothing in the back. So this is not the kind of house that I would recommend that you buy, but hey, we're looking at it. So, you know, I'll continue to walk through it. That's all they show. It is a multifamily to the tune of A, B, and I guess C. So maybe you shouldn't throw too many stones at it, right? What do you want? It's a multifamily. It was $60,000. Maybe that's not all bad. So that gave you a sense of what that looked like. Where else? Well, Chicago. 100 have sold over the past 90 days or so. 700 have sold over the past 12 months. Chose a different link here. Although inside secret, Zillow and Trulia are owned by the same company. So you're really not going to see anything that looks all that different. Doesn't matter which link you choose. But yeah, they're owned by the same. So I'll pick one that I had actually looked at that I thought looked pretty good. Let's see here, 344 East 8th. And if I don't see it fast, then we'll just go to another one. Go down some more. Where is, okay. So I kind of like the look of this. Okay, and as I look at it again, there's some stuff I do like and some stuff I'm like, wait, what? Okay, so 45,000, of course we like the sound of that in the Chicago area. Here's a, wait, what? 680 square feet, man, that seems small for 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. But it's in the city of Chicago and it looks decent on the outside. Here already, you're getting a sneak peek of the pictures on the inside. And thus you can see why I thought this was a good house, good looking house for what they're talking. It's got a front porch. A lot of people love that as a place to share, as a place to store, as a place to store their personal belongings. You could sheetrock this all in, throw some insulation up a little bit and have some extra storage, or leave it just like that for a renter. Again, this may not be your favorite way for a house to be outfitted. Honestly, you want a house that's a little bit ugly because that's going to chase away the investors who are looking for something with a bow on it. Get rid of them. And same thing, it's going to chase away the homeowners who are looking for something with a bow on it. In my opinion, this got a bow. This is a beautiful house. What do I love about it? Okay, so again, for walls and a ceiling. I know that seems like that is the way it ought to be, but it don't always be that way. So I'm liking that. What else do I see here? I see a vent here. So I don't know if we're talking oil or gas, but it's some sort of forced air. In Chicago, it gets mighty cold. So electric heat would be a terrible idea out there. Hey, we've got a kitchen. If you don't love the look of these cabinets, paint them. That's all you got to do. Just paint these white, put some pretty hardware on there, or leave the hardware that's on there, hardware meaning the cabinet handles, and you're in good shape. Throw some vinyl over this. Let's see here. This is, I guess it's real ceramic tile. I'd probably leave it. I wouldn't try to scrape all of this off. I would leave, you know, I'd put some vertical blinds up right here. If the fan works, I'd leave it be. Again, you got, this is just the intake air for the furnace that would be in the basement, I guess. What else are we seeing? But overall, this is looking like a dandy kitchen leading right into the dining room. Looks like that might be a built-in there. Yeah, we got gas here. That's a gas stove. Hose. So we should have gas heat, I'm guessing, in the house, as well as gas hot water, gas heated hot water. You know, they like this kitchen, it looks like. I guess this is a bedroom. Boy, it looks narrow. Maybe that's just the angle that they took it at. But again, as we flip through this, okay, it's not the prettiest bathroom in the world, but again, what do I love? It's got a toilet. It's got a lot of things here. Toilets are easy to replace. You can buy one at Home Depot for maybe about 130, 140 bucks. Habitat Restore is a place that does a lot of, provides rather, a lot of used items, and sometimes they're brand new. I would say they're a great place for kitchen cabinets. I wouldn't trust them as much for a toilet because you never know if a toilet has like a hairline crack that you can't see with your bare eye. So I would just buy a new toilet here, or if the toilet works okay, then just a toilet lid and replace the toilet seat. This vanity right here looks pretty good. Okay, this, or I guess that's the sink part there. This vanity down here is not the prettiest in the world. Again, paint. If the inside looks cruddy, throw down some of the sort of sticky, almost like wallpaper stuff. Or even I've used sheet vinyl before on the inside to make for a nice clean floor. If again, this medicine cabinet is not the best, it's easy to just pull that out and replace it. I don't know where the lights are in this bathroom, but it's looking pretty darn good to me. It's got a window, that's wonderful, meaning you don't have to put in a vent fan, extractor fan. I'm guessing this would be a spare bedroom, sort of like an attic type bedroom. Again, you would paint this. Here again, here we are with the paneling that if you saw in the other house where it was blue, if you remember, here they didn't paint it at all. So I would just paint it white. This drop ceiling where there are things that aren't so wonderful with it, like if it's stained, you can kilts that with a kind of paint, goes by the brand name Kiltz, K-I-L-Z. Or you can just replace sections of it if it's not working. I would remove this. This carpet obviously has to be removed, but again, not bad at 45,000, right? Let's just keep at it. Wait, hang on, is this the living room? I can't quite tell where we are here. Or dining room, we're gonna keep at it. Oh, of course, we had to have something ugly. Well, we know it's not the kitchen because we just saw the good area. So maybe this is like the laundry room or something like that, but still not afraid yet. What do I love about the fact that they gave us an aerial view, which was awful nice of them to get a drone picture. Remember how I said we love the slanted roofs? Great, but also we can now see the condition of the roof. And it looks pretty good. It doesn't look like it has to be ripped out immediately. Yeah, they give you a sense of the backyard. Looks like a nice usable backyard for somebody who has a pet or just children to run around. And then I guess that might be something that is meaningful in that community that's only a quarter mile away, as well as some other thing. I guess they're giving you a sense as a potential investor or owner of homeowner who will reside there of what maybe amenities. This is not quite an amenity, but what amenities look like. They're showing you that less than a mile away is a much nicer neighborhood. And that isn't nicer in this case, really just meaning more expensive. That's really all that euphemism means. And then once again, showing you some others. So I guess they're trying to sell the upside of this house. Again, if you are, as you're on this call and you've already thought, it's time to hang up and go live in Chicago for 45,000 and buy the house in this many years or less, I will not stop you. I would agree. This makes a lot of sense. And if you don't want to live in Chicago, then certainly it makes for a great potential rental house. There's a lot more investigating to be done, but just based on what we see so far, it looks pretty good. All right, let's go back to Canva if I can find it. There you are, I think. All righty. And then we'll move on. Okay, so in most cases, in most of the US, save for, I'd say 8, maybe as many as 10 states, you can't buy a house for the price of a car. You cannot. So again, Alaska, Arizona, California, the District of Columbia, DC, no. Hawaii, no. Even some places that you would think you could or should be able to. I was looking in Mississippi for somebody. it's not as affordable there as you would think. And yet, and even Georgia is starting to get a little bit on the high side. And yet Tennessee, also in the South, is still very much in that house for the price of a car neighborhood. And as we saw, 2 and 3 families, well, we actually didn't see a good example of a 2 and 3 family, the one that didn't have a back, but I'm sure there are a few 2 and 3 families, and in very limited cases, commercial, that you can get for the price of a car. Why do it? MONEY, and really just that certainty of knowing that if it all comes apart, you lose your job, what have you, whatever catastrophe that you are afraid of, that you stay up nights thinking about, or you don't stay up nights, but when it suddenly comes into your brain, it's all you can think about. With a house for the price of a car in your very own home, you can at least know that's put to bed. And if you already have your house that you're living in, then certainly a house for the price of a car means that you can begin to really build a rental portfolio. Here, I gave just an example. If you purchased a house like that Chicago house, if you negotiated it down to the $40,000 and the fix-up was $20,000, and we saw it with our own 2 eyes, that probably is not more than about $20,000 worth of fix-up, so 60 grand all in. Then what's the conservative annual picture? Maintenance, you might spend about $1,000 on maintenance, mortgage insurance. This is over the course of the year, the mortgage insurance and the property taxes, $6,000. If your rent is $1,300, that's $15,600. And so your annual net is going to be $8,600. So again, if you're getting $1,300 on your rent every 12 months, that's going to mean $15,600. And then you got to back out the mortgage that you got on it, along with your maintenance. That's leaving you with $8,600, a 14% return. And that is a dandy return, but even better in a sense is the lottery ticket value. You heard me mention Brooklyn, and there's, I'm sure, a lot of other cities like that, where yesterday it was, and today it's, who are all these hipsters in my neighborhood? So certainly you always have the possibility for that. Another reason and not even if it's a house for the price of a car, if it's a house that's more like $200,000 that you buy, it too has value, and lots of it as an investment property. It can be Airbnb'd, it can be rented to traveling nurses and other folks who will pay more than your average tenant will do. And traveling nurses in particular work well, that population, if you buy a house that's near a major hospital. Remember the house that we just looked at where they were trumpeting the various things that were nearby, the church? That would be the kind of house where you would look to see if there's a major hospital that's nearby. There's still long-term rent relief that's being offered to tenants. I have tenants who are benefiting from this, and I am loving the fact that they are still getting that benefit, because that means they don't have to pay the rent. And it also means that I then receive the rent for sure. And then, of course, you can flip the house. And then we already talked about the appreciation piece. And the house can be used for some kind of storage rental. So if you've got a garage, remember we were just looking at that house that had the terrible faucet area, and I was like, that can't be the kitchen. We just saw the kitchen. Let's say that's the garage, and you don't have much that you need to hold in your garage. That can be rental for somebody else. So those are the values. Where can you find them? Well, you just saw us on Zillow and Trulia. I didn't do a realtor in Redfin, but there as well. And you're going to look for single family, multifamily, townhouse, commercial. If you look in a rural area, even farmland, because farmland sometimes has houses on them. And then there are going to be REO, real estate owned listings. So meaning federal government, good old Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, Housing and Urban Development, the Veterans Administration, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, all these government agencies that you may or may not have heard of, they sell houses. Why do they sell houses? because they provide a mortgage to begin with. And the mortgage doesn't always work out for the good. Sometimes people default. And when they default, it's one of these government agencies that's left holding the bag. They don't want to be in the I own a house business, so they sell it. So those are other places where you can find a house. Local governments, land banks, municipal county sales. You heard me say auction.com earlier that I bought a house that way, private sector, and so on. How finance this magical house for the price of a car or at the higher level? You heard me just say on the last slide that how is it that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and HUD end up selling houses? Because they finance it. They serve as a mortgager or really as an insurer of a mortgage. So that's one way to find the financing. There's all kinds of home buyer programs out there. This would be the kind of stuff that we would work with you to help you find that. So you don't have to take minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months. Not that it'll take you that long, but it'll take you some time. And if the fact of the matter is, yeah, maybe you got time, but who are you fooling? You haven't done it so far. Or you'd like somebody to hold you by the hand and make sure you get it done right. That's where we can come into play and help you make sure you get your hands on the home buyer program money, the tenant rental assistance money, homeowner assistance. And if you are not going to live in the house and it is truly going to be an investor property, Fannie Mae, HUD, USDA, they are uninterested in hearing from you. Because they really do lend to people who are going to own the house, live in it, and in this instance, they will let you buy as many as 4 units, a house that has 4 units. So in other words, a single family, a 2 family, a 3 family, a 4 family, up to 4. That's the magic number, 4. If you buy a 4 family or less house, you can get a mortgage as if it is a single family house, as long as you live in it. If you're not going to live in it, it's far, far away from you. Now we're talking about a different kind of lender. Still good lenders, but not near as cheap as these people. And that's going to mean hard money lenders and land bank partners, which are going to be commercial lenders, commercial banks. How get started? So, of course, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put together your detailed strategy, your timetable, your financing plan, and then pull the old trigger. You want to implement and figure out your location, implement around your property requirements. In other words, are you going to live in the house and rent the upstairs, as an example, or not? You're looking for something far, far away from you. Is your intention to flip the house? So you don't want to talk anything about this notion of being a property investor. The heck with that. Just show me the properties, show me the locations that are flippable. So you better start figuring that out as part of your detailed strategy. Or no, I want to rent. I want to rent to nurses. I want to rent to just regular old families, or a different kind of rent. Airbnb. It's funny because I just paused myself. Airbnb used to be thought of as vacation rental, but you test it out with your own neighborhood and see if you don't see Airbnb in your neighborhood. And if you don't live in a vacation spot, that will just prove to you that within a 5-mile radius, Airbnb is everywhere. And then financing. So that's how you get started, is by figuring out these things so that you can buy a house for the price of a car. And if you're ready to move from vision board, like I have put together, we're in September. What does that mean? You may as well say that we're in December. Happy New Year. It's 2023. And have I still not gone from vision board to action? Am I still nervously considering how to move forward? How am I going to fit yet another thing in? And I really need to confidently execute. I need to go forth and conquer. If you're feeling these things, that's a good thing, because it means that you still got a hunger in you. And if that's the case, then you will go to info@MySmartCousin, drop me an email so we can get together, have a more detailed chat about what exactly you're looking for, and then put you in either one-on-one mentoring, which of course I don't have an endless ability to do that. That is pretty limited, or have you join one of our classes to get started. So that is all we've got. I'm going to stop sharing and give you guys a chance to ask any questions if you have any. I know this went way longer than maybe you thought. What time is it? It's 8:12. Okay, not too bad. We started at about 7:12, so about an hour or so ago. So raise your hand. Does anybody have any questions? Because again, this is your time. And I might just call on people. Rashala, do you have anything? Or let's see here. It looks like we got a Robbie, Abhinav, Ashish. Robbie, do you have anything? Any questions? Okay, we got quiet.
Yeah. The webinar was excellent, and I learned so much from you, and I want to learn more. So just give me your email address that you said I was not able to write up. So just give me the.
Okay, that's true. I did say it awful fast. You are so right. So let me do this to, how do I do everyone? Okay, so what I'm going to do, everyone, is I'm saying info at MySmartCousin.com. Pam Hill.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And please, Robbie, follow us at MySmartCousin on IG. And why follow us? Because you can tell that I don't mind sharing. And so if I do this on a YouTube, or not a YouTube, on what are we on Zoom, then you know I do it when it comes to the blogs that I write up. So there is a boatload. And so I put out, 3 to 4 times a week, blog articles on important subjects around buying a house and flipping that house or renting out that house. So certainly join us. Join the MySmartCousin tribe, as it were. And if you're truly interested, if you're really ready, if you're not ready, hey, that's cool. I'm going to tell you that, yes, there's always going to be an opportunity, even in today's market. You just saw in Chicago the house for $45,000, and we didn't look everywhere. We saw right there in, I guess I'm going to call it a suburb of Pittsburgh until I actually locate its town. But that too is a place. So I'm going to venture to say on any given day, there are hundreds of good houses, not just crummy ones like we saw the one that didn't have a back, good houses that are out there. So get yourself a piece of this American pie. It's out here. You deserve it. You got a bigger mission, or you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me ramble on. So I hope everyone has an awesome evening. Look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thumbs up. If y'all could give me a thumbs up in this thing, so I feel like, yes, I might have done something good in this world. Hey, I'll take it. There's one. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. As you can tell, I love doing this. I really do. I love not only being the investor that I am, but just sharing that knowledge. Thanks, everyone. Bye.